Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So this is a cargo pants class and I'm going to be showing you steps on how to achieve your cargo pants. First of all, you're going to be needing your round thigh measurement plus 3 inches and your full length, your trouser length, and you add 3 inches to it. You are going to be minusing 2 inches from the top and for your band, and you take your full length. After that, you're going to be folding your fabric by 2, which in my own case, my round thigh measurement is 30 inches. Okay, and I'm going to be dividing that by 2, and I'll fold my trouser into 2, and I'll mark out 30 inches plus extra 3 inches. Okay, so here I'm going to be putting down my hip measurement of 9 inches and my crotch depth of 11 inches. Then I'll connect it. Remember to minus 2 inches at the top for your band, as your band allowance, minus 2 inches. So I'm going to connect these lines. So with this, I'm going to come in by 1 inch at the top and 1 inch at the hem. That's the side of my trouser. You come in by 1 inch at the top and 1 inch at the hem. Then I'm going to be connecting this 1 inch I added at the hem, at the top, to my hip point. Okay, now I'm using a straight through. Do not use a curve because this is a unisex trouser. So I'm not using a curve rule. So from there, I'm going to connect my hip, from my hip point, I'm going to connect in to that 1 inch I have at the hem. And I'm going to be cutting this out. After I was done cutting out, I'm going to measure my round waist divided by 4, okay, and I'm going to put that down, and I'm going to be adding extra 2 inches because the back will be having an elastic band at the back of the trouser. So I'm going to be adding extra 2 inches to it, and whatever I have there, I'm going to bring it down to my crotch depth. I'll connect it with a straight line. Then from there, I'm going to come out by, under my crotch depth, I'm going to come out by 2 inches. Okay, on my crotch depth, after connecting with a straight line, I'm going to come out by 2 inches on my crotch depth. Using a slight curve, I'm going to connect it back to my hip line. So from there, at the hem, I'm going to be taking 10 inches. You can do 9 inches, okay? But I'm going to be taking 10 inches and I'll connect it straight to my crotch depth. And with this, we are done with the front trouser. I'm just going to cut it out and I'll put it aside. Okay, now I've come in, folded my back by 2, and I've placed my front on it. So for the back, I'm going to come down by 2 inches at the hem. I'm going to mark out 2 inches at the hem. Then my front will be starting on that 2 inches. I'll place my front trouser on that 2 inches, and I'm going to start marking from there. So the first thing you're going to do for the back is on that crotch line, you come out by 2 inches. Okay, for the back, you come out by 2 inches, and under your hip point, you come up by 1.5. Okay, you're going to be slanting that your 2 inches, connecting it to that 1.5, and all the way to the waist of your front. Okay, just connect it. Don't add any allowance at the waist, just connect it to the waist. Okay, like I've done, connect it to the waist. So from the back waist, connect it to down to the side waist, like the front. Okay, you just come up at the center back and connect it back to the side. That 2 inches will have down at the side. Okay, then at this other part, like the flap side, you're going to be taking 2 inches all the way to the hem, and you connect it with your rule. Now the sides are equal and the same, so you're not cutting out anything at the side. You've already cut out the side at the front, so you're going to use that same shape to cut out your side. So with this, I'm going to cut out the excess I have at the hem. I'll just trim that out. Now the next you're going to be cutting is the flap. Okay, you're going to be cutting out the flap, and I'm going to be measuring 9 inches down as the length of my flap. I'll measure 9 inches and 2 inches as the width of my flap. So I'm going to bring in my front pattern, and I'm going to stitch. Okay, from that's my crotch extension, I'm going to stitch 1/2 inch all the way to my hip point. Okay, just stop there, go to your machine, stitch 1/2 inch and stop at the hip point. After stitching, this is what I have, and I'm going to notch on that my hip point. I'm going to notch, then I'll open it up and I'll show you how to fit the flap. So your flap is going to stop at you're going to sew your flap and stop at that your hip point. So I'm going to just place this, I'll put it down. Okay, pin it down, and I'm going to sew 1/2 inch on the both sides, then I'll iron it inside. I'm going to stop on that my hip line. So after I was done sewing, this is what I have. Okay, remember to notch on that hip point, that part you stopped sewing, notch, and this is what it looks like after I was done ironing. Now I'm going to take out the left part of my flap. Okay, We're going to be fitting our zip right now. So to fix my zip, I'm going to make sure it's laying down. Then I'll bring out the left side of my flap, and I'm going to be placing this on the left side. And I'm going to be sewing on, after placing it, okay, the way I've placed it, the zip head is facing down, okay, and I'm going to be sewing on the left side. I'm just going to sew that down, and this is what I have. By the time I turn it out, you see what I have. Just follow the steps I'm taking to achieve yours, and I'm going to be placing the right side on it. This is what it's going to be looking at, like outside. Right here, I'm trying to arrange what I've done so far to make sure I'm not making any mistake, and I'm going to pin it down, okay. I'm going to pin that right side down on it, on the left, on the zip. I'm going to place it down. Then that will so that I'm going to turn it in, okay. Don't just turn it in. Opening up your zip and turn that left flap in, and I'm going to use my chalk to mark out how I want my curve to be, and I'm going to curve it in to that my hip point, that place will stop sewing, okay, notched. I'm going to have a curve there, so I'll just connect my curve. I'm going to be sewing on the right side, okay. I'm going to just slant a line using my chalk to mark out the line, and make sure you're sewing on the zip, not on the head, okay. Make sure you're sewing on the right side of the zip, and you connect it back to meet the hip point where we stop sewing from, like where we notched. After I was done sewing, I'm just going to unpin, and this is what I've done so far. For my cargo pocket, I'm going to be cutting out a width of 9 inches and a length of 12 inches, and I'm cutting out 2 of that. I'm going to come in by 3 inches at the top. You can do 3.5 depending on how wide your hand is, and I'll come down by 5.5, and I'm going to connect this line, okay, using a curve, a slight curve. I'm going to connect the 5.5 to my 3 inches. I'll do the same thing for both pieces, and I'll cut. So, and I went ahead to cut facing for this, a facing of 2.5 inches, and I'm going to fold the hem of the facing. I'll fold the hem, and I'm going to sew and join the facing to my pocket on 1/2 inch, and I'll notch. Then I'll iron it and turn it over. I'll turn it in and iron it. After I was done ironing, this is what I have. I say notch and fold the facing, the hem of the facing, and this is what we have so far. Now this is the pocket for both sides of my trousers, and the next I'm going to do is to come in, okay, on the side. I'm going to, on that hem side, I'm going to come in by 1.5. Come in by 1.5, and at the top I'll come in again by 1.5, and I'll connect with a straight through. After connecting this, I'm going to fold it inside, and I'm going to top stitch, okay, very small on that side. On that point, I'm going to top stitch on it. It's so tiny. And this is what we have after I was done top stitching. By the time you open it out, you see the effect of your top stitch. Okay, do the same thing for both pockets. On the hem line, come up by 1.5 on both sides, and do the same thing. Roll it down and top stitch on that point. And this is what I have for my both pockets. So that's hem side, I will just top stitch. You see those your two lines that will top, they are supposed to meet, okay? So to do that, you're just going to fold it in, fold a little in, and you're going to sew straight. Do the same thing for both sides, for both lines that will just top stitch. Fold them in and you sew, slightly sew. Just folding. What you're folding is should not be up to 1/2 inch. Just fold it in and you sew. So after sewing, you're still going to bring those lines together and you stitch, run it down. Just bring those lines together and sew on that line, okay? Just sew on that line. That's just to join it together. Let me show you what I mean. Just see the way I'm folding it in. You fold it in like this, okay, and you sew that line. After sewing on that line, I'll do the same thing for the other part of my line. Then I'll bring it together like this. You see, now we have like an A shape. I'm going to join it together and I'm going to stitch to close it down. That will help to give us the cargo effect. See what I mean? Now what we have inside, I'm just going to trim it out. So this is how to achieve your cargo pocket. Now this is what we have. Do the same thing for both sides. Okay, now I'm going to take a long strip of 19 inches and 2 inches width, and I'm going to fold it and turn it back out. After I was done doing that, I went ahead to press, and I put the same line at the middle, and I'm going to top stitch on both sides of my strip. Now to join your cargo pocket to your trouser, you're going to place it on it, pin it down on the waist, and you see that part that we top stitched, you're going to be folding it in. Make sure your pocket is laid well, properly laid, and you're going to be marking out that line. On that top stitch line, just send your 1.5 inch inside. your 1.5 line that we had, just send your cargo effect inside, and you're going to be marking out on that line, that your top stitch line. After marking that out, you're going to bring out your cargo effects, and you're going to be folding in tiny, like very tiny, fold it in, and you're going to sew on that point. I'll just pin it down as I'm showing you. You're going to be placing it on that line that we just marked, and you're going to pin down. When you pin down, you know you've already folded in that down part, so you're not going to be just sew straight and stop there. Okay, just sew straight and stop there, and you start from this other side and sew on that line. So you're going to take this strip that we just turned, and you're going to be tucking it inside. Move in by 1 inch, okay, and you place it inside. You're going to join it for both pockets, and you go ahead to sew. So after sewing, you just stitch there, that your starting point. Just stitch there like 1 inch, and do the same thing for the waist of your trouser. Just stitch like 1 inch and leave the other part. So after I was done stitching, this is what my pocket looks like right now, and I'm going to keep this aside. Then I'll show you how to cut your back pocket. So take a plain fabric and you mark out 4 inches, okay, and add extra 6 inches to it. That will be the width, and for the length you mark out 6.5 and you add 3 inches to it. So I'll just mark that down and cut, and I'm cutting two pockets for the back. So I'll come in with one piece, and I'm going to be folding it equally, okay, and on that part, at the folded part, come in by 1.5, and I'll glue that down. Then I'll go to my machine and I'll sew on that line, okay. Go to your machine and I'll sew on this line. After I've sewn, this is what I have. I'll just open it up, and this is the result of what we've done. I'm going to stitch down this part and the hem, but first I'm going to press. Now the next you're going to do is to come at the side. You come in by 1.5 and you roll down for both sides. So I'll go to my machine. You see the same thing we did for the front pocket. Just go ahead and top stitch on that line for both sides. Yeah, and I've gone ahead to iron, and this is what I have. I've top stitched and I've ironed properly. Now the next I'm going to do is to come down by 1.5. Come down by 1.5, and that will be the mouth of my pocket, and I'm going to fold that inside. You just go run a straight stitch and fold it inside. That will be my pocket mouth. I'll just pin it down, and for the hem I'm going to still mark 1.5 inches upwards, and I'll connect it with my straight rule. Then I'll fold it inside, and I'm going to top stitch like what we did for the sides. Just go ahead and top stitch on that line. So I'll come in with my trouser. This is my back trouser, and I went ahead to fold in, making sure that the flap is touching the hip, and I'm going to use this line. So from there I'll come down by 3 inches. This is how to place your back pocket. Come down by 3 inches and connect with your straight rule. Then on that part, before that, I'm going to do the same thing that I did for my front cargo pocket to have the cargo effect. I'll just go ahead and stitch, okay? After I was done stitching to get my cargo effect, I'm just going to fold this in on that line that I folded and pressed. That my line, straight line that is showing on my trouser. I'm going to place my pocket there, and I'm going to use my chalk to rule out the line, okay, to make it to be visible. Rule out the line like what we did for the front pocket. Just rule the line all the way to round the pocket. Then I'm going to unpin and place the mouth like what we did for the front. Fold it inside, and you're going to sew. Make sure you've already finished doing folding the hem of your pocket, like the way we did for the front, to have the cargo effect. So I'm just going to pin it down all round, and this is what it looks like. I'm going to sew round, and I'm going to stitch the mouth and stitch the mouth. Okay, to get the pocket cover, I'm going to take 5.5 as the width, okay, and I'll come down by 3.5 as the length. I got now 4 for both pockets, 2 for one pocket. Go ahead and sew round and leave the upside. After sewing, this is what I have. I just left an opening at the upper part, and I'll turn it out, then iron. I'll do the same thing for both pockets. So I'm going to top stitch on it. After top stitching, this is what I have, and I've ironed it. Now I'm going to come in with my trouser, and I'm going to place it on this my mark of I'm going to place it after sewing. I'm going to place it on this my pocket, and I'm going to come out, like I'm going to mark out 1 inch. I'll mark out 1 inch. Make sure you finish stitching down like 1 inch on your pocket. So I'm going to mark out 1 inch. I'll rule it down. Then I'm going to go to my machine and sew on that 1 inch to hold the pocket cover out. After I was done, this is what we have. So do the same thing for the both pockets. I've finished fitting my two pockets, and this is what it looks like. Now I'm going to join my flap, my back flap. I'm going to join it together. I also went ahead to do the same pockets for my knee. I did the same pocket for my knee. Then I'll close my flap. So after I was done stitching, I've closed my sides and my flap. So this is what it looks like. So for my pockets, I top stitched at the upper part. I just top stitched at the upper part. It will help my pockets cover to lay down for all my pockets. And for this rope, I had to tuck it into the side, to the back pocket, and I stitched it down. And I'm going to hem the hem. I'm going to fold my hem. And the next I'm going to do is to cut out my band. Okay, my waistband. I'm just going to measure what I have for my waist, and I'll add extra 5 inches to it. So I'm going to mark it down, and I'll cut out. I'm going to add one piece of my band. So to join your band, just fold in 1 inch or ½ inch at the center front, and you pin down all round. Then you go ahead and sew round. When you get to the other part of the zip, do the same thing, fold in 1 or ½ inch, and you sew round. I've sewn it down, and I'm just going to turn to the right side, and this is what we have after I finish sewing down. So this is what we'll have. I'm going to fold in a ½ inch all the way at the top to use to fold down. Now for the sides, I'm going to mark out my side using a straight rule. I'm going to mark out my sides. That is where my elastic is going to stop. So I'm going to place my elastic. I'm using a 2 inches elastic for the back, and I'm going to place my elastic at one side of the line I just ruled, and I'm going to drag to meet the other line. Make sure you're dragging it well, and whatever you have, you cut out. And with this, I'm going to stitch it down to meet the 2 lines I just marked. And this is it after I was done stitching it down. Now to turn my band, I'm just going to fold it in, covering the line that I used in joining it, and I'm going to stitch from one side of my zip. I'm going to stitch it down, and I'll stitch to stop at the place where my bands, my elastic started from. I'll stop there, and I'll continue with the other part of the front. Now this is just to make sure that my front does not shift. And I've finished stitching it down. Okay, I've finished stitching down my band, and I'm just going to use my buttons at the waist. If you want to, if it's a guy that you're making this trouser for, the person should use one button, but if it's a female, you use two buttons. I'm just going to pin that down, and this is what we have. If you want for the elastic, you're going to stitch in between the middle of the elastic to hold it down. At the sides, you're going to stitch down on this at the sides where we have our elastic. Just stitch down at the right side to hold it down. Now, if you want a belt holder, you mark 4 inches away from the center front. You mark 4 inches, okay, on both sides, and you place your belt holder. And this is what we have after I was done. This is my cargo pants. Guys, if this class was helpful, please help share so others could see, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much for watching till the end. Bye. So this will fit better if you use this will be better if you use a jean material or a sample material, a plain sample material. Okay, thank you guys for watching.